Sorry about that. Hi guys, how are you doing today? Trying to figure out another place for this microphone here. Hi Ramadan, Basic Chris. How you guys? I just learned something new. That, and then it goes off. It comes and then goes off. And then it doesn't help. But that would help. So hi guys. Muri Mutia, how is your evening going? Me, I'm in town. I know basic. I know what you mean. I am not a power junkie. I don't think I'm one person that likes okay, everyone likes power, but I also understand that with a lot of power come a lot of risks as well. So yes, it's nice to have a lot of power, but I don't miss it. I don't miss it. I find that this car is actually powerful. Coming from a Ractis, I find that when I have a motor, an electric motor paired with the engine, I have more power than what I had in with the than what I had with the Ractis. Than what I had in the previous cars that I've driven. I've driven majority of the time I've driven 1.5 liters maximum. So I don't think I'd miss the power that you'd get out of Mark X, for example, because I don't drive a Mark X. And I've also realized that with power comes fuel consumption. And at this personally where I am in life, I don't think I'm too friendly with cars that consume a lot of my fuel. Whatever, I'm even one of the people that is going to buy electric cars in the next couple of years. Is a to be a power hungry. Power is nice. I've experienced it the time I drove the N12. It was really powerful. When I drove the Crown, I've experienced it when I drove the Sinotrack. Yeah, that's also something. But I don't think I miss it when I'm driving the Prius. I think you see, the only problem I have with hybrids is that they are not the kind of cars that will fight. Like Ngorimbo series, for example. Like I went with Mama Aban to buy eggs. There is a place where we go to buy eggs. It's a farm, and we went down properly where to the farm. But then coming out to join the road, I struggled a bit, and I kept pressing the accelerator. Yeah, I kept pressing the accelerator. Guys, you're 10. Give me 10 likes. Come on. I kept pressing the accelerator, but the thing wasn't moving. The thing just kept shutting off the engine. It wasn't moving. I don't know if I'm the one. I'm the person that is. I'm the one that is scared of the car, but I find that there is something that is definitely not right with the hybrids. But I have no problem with them. I live in a place where I don't struggle a lot on the road. I have multiple routes. If I find that one route is dead, I'll go use another route. And the fact that I'm driving a hybrid, I don't think fuel is one of my worries now. But I just have that one problem, that when you're in a slippery, let's say you're at a slippery road, yeah, you will struggle a lot. Yeah, you'll struggle a lot. You'll struggle a lot because it just doesn't have that. I don't think it has the torque to struggle. Yeah, it's a city drive car. When they were making these cars, they did not think that Arthur, a Ugandan that lives in the village, would buy it one time. Guys, give me more likes. Give me more likes. You can double tap your screen or click the three dots here on the top right hand corner of your screen, and then the like option will appear at the bottom of your screen. Yeah. So guys, today is Saturday and we just have Chibozi. So I want us to do the Chibozi of this thing that has been going around. What do you think about it personally? No, don't go there. So I wanted to, this is what I think, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean it's the valid way of thinking, but I find that everyone, the level where at the level where they are at, they have a way they perceive things. Now, when we talk about things like this, it might help people that are in the same spot like us to start thinking clearly. And then when you guys also share what you think, then it also helps me. You get? So guys, I wanted to compare three things: building a home, a house for living, two, building a house for living, or two, investing in a business, or three, investing like putting your money in a business, or three, investing like in government bonds or in unit trusts or something like that. Or yeah, unit trusts. I think unit trusts are very popular these days. Yeah. So where should someone put their money? Now, I'm doing home, I'm doing business, I'm also investing in certain things. I just put my money there and I expect my money to come back to me with interest or with let's say profit. So I'm doing all those things. And why am I doing all those things? Because there are people like me that cannot afford to just do one thing. You cannot just do one business, or you cannot just do business and or maybe we are not lucky with business. I'll give you an example. Nze, I don't think I am good at trade. Like, let's say I buy these glass covers, glass bags, or whatever they call them, or glass pods, and I buy them and I want to resell. I don't think that is the thing for me. I've tried it and I don't think it's a thing for me. I've seen people that are doing it, and there's so many people that are doing business. For example, trade. I'm talking about trade because what I do, even now, I'm doing business. But when we talk about trade, for example, I have friends that are bought things. Let's say that he buys 1,000 of these copies of these pods, and by the time he's finished selling all the pods, you go ahead and ask him, how much profit did you make off of all them? He just says, well, I bought each of them at 10, I sold them 15, so I know I made a profit. And then you ask him, okay, what was your turnaround time? And he has no idea how to answer that. You ask him what was the gross profit, what was the net profit, things like business things that should, and what's your break-even point, how many do you need to sell for you to stop making losses? And he has no idea. And I also have friends that do deal in trading, and they will tell you honestly, by the time they are finished selling their stock, they have no idea where the money they got before went. That's the thing. It's just not me. I personally want to be dealing in something where I can understand. For example, I am a theater artist. I'll give you an example. I invest in a TV show. I invested in the cafe and we sold it to DSTV when it was still DSTV. You know, it's no longer DSTV. I think now it's Canal Plus. So No Multi-Choice is what was sold. The Ugandan franchise of DSTV was sold to Canal Plus. So we sold, but we dealt with Multi-Choice. So we sold the cafe to Multi-Choice. I invest 25 million or 30 million. I sell 50 million. You get that kind of thing. I'm the kind of person that wants to see my block here and I put my block there. I get it in a lump sum. I'm that kind of person. There I am good. I am not so good in having lots of pieces of things and being the one to sell those things and then calculate, and then they take a long time. If it's a trade where I can sell things in, let's say, a short period of time, then that's something I can do. But if it's a business where I sell for, let's say, 6 months, then there is a problem. I've seen people, for example, Moroka. Where did that thing go? Asubula, he brings like car perfumes, for example, and some perfumes pour, some break. You get, and then along the way when he's bringing those things, the tax increases, and then the mathematics just doesn't add up. But then he still has to sell because he already has those things. I don't think that's for me. Now, I'm not saying in my kind of business we don't make losses. We do. For example, I've so far shot 4 pilots, and in each of those pilots, I don't spend anything less than 5 million. And all those shows have not been bought anywhere. And I'm still investing in more pilots. You get it? So but I understand it. I know when I work on a TV show pilot, I put my pilot there. It's not bought. It flops. I know it has flopped. I have lost 10 million. Yes, it's clear I've lost. But there are guys that are selling things in the trade. Yes, Sobora. I know friends here that I've invested. I've inspected for like 5 people that work in Chikuba, and trading is their thing. And I don't know how they I don't think I'm a math person. Which again, so business is a little bit tricky. Some people are for trading, other people like me are for business, and let's say we are for land projects that are, we create one huge project and want to sell that huge project and make a little bit of it, and we are okay. And so all we have to do is find strategies of making sure that we have multiple projects that can be done at the same time and sell most of them. So I am there. I also have a bit of cash that I've thrown around in those unit trusts. You get, so I have that, and then I have a home. You get. There is one thing I've not understood. I've never understood it. I don't know if I'll ever understand it. It's the thing of rentals. It's also seen as it again. I grew up with my grandmother. She had a lot of rentals, but it seems like she always did not have money, and it seems like she always demanded her tenants 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So that's something I've never understood, and that's something I'm not so willing to go into because I don't understand it. Yeah. So, but there are people that say Zimbe mizigo bera ko muzigo gumu jilio jijemo sente. And then I have a friend of mine who has mizigo. For him, he told me, ezo sente nateka ye mizigo jange nazera bira bwezijja bwezitajja tezijja. Now, for me, I don't understand that kind of business, because a kind of business where you don't know whether you're making a loss or a profit is something I don't understand. So I want us to have this debate of, when you have your money, do you invest it in a business? Do you build yourself a home? Do you invest in, let's say, government bonds? Alex Kakande Byagamba. Or do you buy land like Kachika is saying? And for starters, I want us to get the background. Then if you follow me, you follow their lives. Let's say Basic Chris is saying, hi Lucky Mose. Basic Chris is saying, I think I would invest my money in creating a company for now while renting. Later on, I think I can consider building assets first, like rentals and apartments, and then much later on a house. Now, we come from different backgrounds. I think I've talked about this multiple times. We come from different backgrounds, and the background where you come from influences what you do, the decisions you take in your life, the things you do with your money and stuff like that. Where you come from, I think that's why most of the times poor families stay, or just generation after generation, they are poor until one rich person from that family starts a whole different angle where people from that family start being rich. You get, or they start being well off. I've seen that there are families that have been poor for 4 generations, 5 generations. And there are families that have been in the middle class for 5 generations. There are also families that have been in the wealth league for 5 generations. That happened. To me, a house is always going to be first in Uganda's economy. I think I can pay rent too. Okay, that's not very clear. Arthur, I wish we could stop talking about these government bonds. Kasule Ramadan, we cannot, because it's a fact. It's a fact they exist. But there is something I came up with here that I wrote down. Where is it? There's something I wrote down. I don't know. Is anyone investing in government bonds apart from JK? I think JK said he invests about 50 million every year in government bonds. And from that discussion, it was clear to us, if you don't have a lot of money, government bonds are not a thing for you. Of course, there is compounding. Like if I invest 100 million this year, by next year, by the end of the year, I'll have 110 million. And then if I leave the 110 million there, by next year, I'll have 122 million. And then the next year, if I leave it there, because it gives me 10%, 10%, 10%. But if you invested 100,000 today in bonds, by next year, you'll have 110,000 shillings. And then the next year, you have 122,000 shillings. You get it? So we realize that government bonds literally work for people that have a lot of money, high net worth individuals that have a lot of money that they can tie up for that long period of time. And then realize that you also have to invest in government bonds for extended period of time. For example, Kakanda was talking about a 25-year bond. Like you invest, you get 100 million and put it there for 25 years. You get, and each of those years it gives you 10%. That's very good money. But how many of us can actually tie up 100 million for 10 years or 9 years or 5 years? You get it? That's also something. So government bonds are definitely for that. Where is my thing? So let's first of all understand these 3 things. A home will give you safety, it will give you stability, but it doesn't make you flexible. Like me, I'm not flexible. Like you can't just give me a job in Gulu. You get it? It has to motivate me enough to leave my home. Because I have already invested a lot of money in my home, I'm really comfortable in my home and stuff like that. So it gives you stability, yeah. It also gives you security. For starters, I'd like to tell you one thing. For me to rent the house I'm living in now, I'll spend about 3 million shillings a month. Enyumba jembeera mukati okujifuna nga njipangisa nitaga 3 million shillings. I can't afford that, definitely. Then someone will tell me, Arthur, but the money you have invested in that house, if you used it for a business, the business will be able to give you like 5 million a month. Then you can rent a house at 3 million. You get it? And then you keep even a balance. Yeah, that makes a sense. Only I did not build the house in 1 year. I've lived in that house for close to 5 years now. And I started building. All those 5 years, I've been building. I've never stopped building. I'm still building. I probably stopped building at like in year 10. But I'm okay. That's the one thing that probably people ignore every time they're talking about building a home. Basically, normally when people talk about building a home, the only thing that you big guys ignore is that people don't go and build a home in 1 year. Most people build their homes for 12, 15 years. Right? So that's the one thing that we forget. So for the first 5 years, I've never stopped building. Like even now, I need to be building, but I've stopped. I have bags of cement in my home. I have sand. I have bricks. I have stones. You get it? I have a wheelbarrow at all times. So even now I should be building, but I stopped it because I'm busy. But I'm sleeping in my home. That's the thing that every time I think these advocates of, let's say, advocates of bonds, advocates of business, they forget one thing, that in Uganda, you can sleep in an incomplete house. Like the regulations, like under the law, you are not allowed to sleep in an incomplete house. But we sleep in incomplete houses. That's the thing that people forget. You get it? So the thing is, when Arthur started building his house, he did not even figure it would cost him as much as it had cost him. But he's comfortable with it because he did not get the money at once and put it there. When he gets money to buy 3 bags of cement, he buys the bags of cement. He gets 120 to buy a Isuzu Elf of plaster sand. He brings it. He gets a higher 200. I think now the bricks are 250 to buy bricks. He gets the money, buys the bricks. Then he gets the 60,000 to get 2 builders. They come and build. That's the science behind building. So before you guys say, since akuzimbanga sinakora business, I want you to think about that. The business is also something else, because the business gives you potentially high returns, but it's very risky. Like I've said, I've so far shot 4 pilots. Each of those pilots costs me a minimum of 5 million, and they have not been bought. There is one particular pilot that cost me over 10 million, and it will never be bought. I did it for this particular prospect that would have been, if this prospect had bought it, I would be a millionaire now. The only thing I needed to do was invest 10 million in that pilot, and I would, like, everyone that worked on that pilot, their lives would be changed by now. But that person did not buy, the client did not buy, or the customer did not buy. And because they did not buy that project, I'm going to share that project. I think I should upload it to YouTube, one of those channels that I have. And no one will ever be able to buy it. You get? No one, because locally in Uganda here, no one can buy it. And that, so because that show will never be bought, the 10 million, I lost it. That's what business does. You can invest 50 million in a business and lose it, all of it. In my home, it's pretty hard for me to lose all the money I've invested, because I'm living in the home as I build. So business will give you potentially high returns, like I've said. If the 10 million pilot had worked out, I would have made a lot of money. But it did not work out. And let's say the other 3 pilots that have not worked out. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 pilots. 4 pilots that have not worked out as well. Each of those pilots cost me a minimum of 5 million. So 5 times 4, that's 20 million, plus the 10, that's 30 million that I don't have in my pocket because I was trying to do business. So that's what business is. And then, of course, investing in money markets, like at Kakande calls them. There, I have my money there. I know it will come later, but I know it will come. So it's safe. But it's giving me very little returns. But it's there. So for me, I'm in all places. I built a home. I have businesses that are losing more money than they are making. And then I have those money markets. So guys, what do you think is better? Bro, after COVID, I lost everything. But guess what? Brought me back to my feet. It was a home. When you are free on rent, you can stand again. Thank you, Rama. Now, why did Arthur build? Before I built my home, I was renting a house of 250,000 shillings. And in that home, it's where I also had my office. I had a parking for like 4 cars. I had 2 bedrooms. One of the bedrooms, I turned it to an office. That was before I married Mama Aban. And then the sitting room was like the reception. We had a kitchen. So not very nice place, but it was okay. And then I sat down with one of my friends, the wiring guy that used to do wiring on my car. And he told me, and then he took me to his home. He had 3 rentals. And he was living in one of them, double rooms. And then he said, I think as a million. So I think the next month I bought my first plot. And then I set my goal, because in the same I've seen a lot of people lose money in land. Like I shared the thing where I saw Badjo's it was Badjo was talking to, was it Kasuku, and he was saying and then a lot of people were sharing it. I don't know if they were lying, but I've come to realize that social media and these channels where we are, people share what they have gone through honestly through fake accounts, because they don't want to be ridiculed in real life. So social media has given people the outlet to come and share by same without being judged. And so me, I've also seen, I've tried to buy land so many times, and every time I almost buy land, something is wrong. You get something is wrong. Now someone would say, after you take the risk, like I went to buy an acre of land somewhere. It was a friend of mine here, Yantwarayo, and that friend of mine is a broker. You see why I said brokers can never be your friends. So that friend of mine, Nandaganti, he's a friend, the friend of his that took us there, had bought land there. He also bought half an acre. His titles had been transferred. He even sold a few plots. I found out later it was a lie. How did I find? So I sent Isaac, the surveyor from here. I sent him details for him to do a check for me because I wanted him to go do survey the land. And then the first thing that comes out is it's the land is with administrators. You guys know, some of you guys know these things. And then when it's with administrators, their term had expired. The term of administration had expired, and they hadn't renewed it. It expired a long time ago. They hadn't renewed it. So when I called this friend of mine that took me to see the land, he says, I got offer if you transfer to Judge Jikora. But that would be an illegal transfer. I'm not a lawyer, but I know that that would be an illegal transfer. Now, I also know that if you live on land for 12 years, someone cannot just come and put you off the land. But then what if you go, because that land was very well located, very good price, one pole of electricity, and I have power there. I had a lot of plans. I had just started and then that was the blow. And then the guy said, oh, surveyor wo muveko jantu say surveyor waba no yajja bichusa. Like, yes, but that would be an illegal transfer of titles. Yeah, yes, it can be changed now. You know, quite chapacho no China, but you guys have seen places where you have like 2 land titles. So that's also something. But then there are also people like JK that have invested a lot, like heavy amounts in land, yeah, and their land is like making more money for them. They know now you're going to take $1 million katugeza na kati atunda bibidi. We say na tatunda bibidi we bali na ida tabaguza. And then there's that I don't think I've lost money with land before because I'm too careful. Have I lost money with cars? Yes, not too much though. Have I lost money in business? Yes. I've never lost money in the money markets because, yeah, it's hard to lose. There's no risk there. So, guys, what do you think is best to go through? Now, I prepared one of my documents here. I just want to go through the pros and cons of each. Now, let's start with money markets. Money markets like government bonds. They are safe and reliable. They are backed by the government. For example, if you go to government bonds, you'll get your money back. You know how much you're going to be making. If they tell you they give you 10% per annum for 10 years, you'll calculate your money before you get it. And you know that when take a millions and this is how much I'll have in 10 years. So see, who doesn't want to have something like that? In business, you're not guaranteed. Accessible. So anyone can buy as little as 100,000, yeah? And then you can compound your money. And then you can diversify. You can go here, go there, and then you have your money in so many places. But what are some of the drawbacks? One, you cannot get rich very fast with bonds. It's money that grows over time. You can put 100 million away today, and in 20 years, your money grows. And then when you decide to withdraw that money, you're one of the richest people. And everybody's asking, and nobody knows where the money came from. And then, but then you cannot get rich in like 2 years from that money. 100 million makes you 20 million in 2 years. And then I think you have to pay tax off of that. So it's not actually 20 million. And then there is liquidity. You cannot be liquid when you invest in government bonds. And if you decide to sell quickly before maturity, you lose money. I think. And then there is inflation. Now, I don't know how inflation works because Kakane has tried to make us believe that inflation doesn't affect the government bonds, for example. But this is what I'm thinking. This is the kind of math I did. Yeah? If you invested 10 million in a 3-year bond of 12% interest per year, you'll make 1.2 million per year. In 3 years, you'll have made 3.6 million shillings. Very good, right? So it means a person that has a lot of money invests, let's say 1 billion in government bonds. My God, let's say 1 billion makes 12%. That means you'll be making 120 million per year. I don't know if that math is okay with a billion. You get it? Let's compare with building a house. If you build a house at 100 million, yeah, that house of 100 million could give you probably, a house of 100 million could probably fetch you like 500,000. Yeah, 500,000 per month. Yeah, and then you cannot sell. So it's not something. Selling a house is one of the hardest things. I know a friend of mine who is a house broker, and there's a house he sold for 6 years. You'd think that a place like Mutundwe would be very easy to sell. And yeah, so but it would give you 500,000 per month, which means you'll be getting about 6 million per year. So 6 million per year, I don't know what the rate is. 6 million per year, in 10 years, you'll be getting 60 million back, but the house will still be there. So technically, you make 60 million off of the house in 10 years. If you deduct taxes and all, you'll probably be making like 50 million. And maintenance costs and stuff. So the risk is, for example, this is what I think. This is what I read. If you get inflation, if your bond pays you 12%, but the inflation is 10%, so you actually get 2% only. Someone should correct me here. If your bond pays you 12% and the inflation is 10, so your actual gain is 2%, because money has lost value of 10%. Your money has lost value of 10%. So Amagoba goes, yes, so it is safe, but your profit is actually 2% because of the inflation. That's something I think people don't talk about Ababaga to investing in bonds. And it's not clear. It's not clear. So let's talk about the home. Ebya bond sagala byogera ko nnyo because ebya bond sibitegeera nnyo. Nenze nganze wano embeera wendi, the bonds don't actually make a lot of sense for me. I don't know if anyone, the bonds make sense to you, money markets and all make sense to you more than all the other things you can tell me. Let's talk about the home, which most of you guys here have. Ramadan has said, mu COVID ya buli kimu kyagwawo. Nange, COVID, I lost everything in COVID. I lost everything as well. But my home was there. And because I wasn't paying rent, I think that's the one thing that kept me going. Because I did not worry about rent. I would only worry about food, and I was okay. So let's talk about a home. It gives you security and stability, which I had even during COVID. As long as I paid for Yaka, I was okay. As long as I paid for national water, I was okay. The food was too cheap during COVID. So I wasn't worried about where to live. I know a number of people that were constantly worried about rent. And I know people here that have renters that say they told their tenants for 6 months, you don't have to pay rent and stuff. And then, of course, a home gives you pride and a legacy for your kids, yeah? I think everyone should build a home. And Kachika, we are bagamba tozimba nyumba. There is a contest. There is something he had forgotten at that time to tell you. Kachika said his dad had built him a home, and he never needed to build a home because he lived rent free. The schools where he taught gave him a home, so he never needed to build a home. Bwe yajjanga Kampala nga muzeeyi we yamuzimbira ennyumba weeri okitegeera. Then bwe yagendanga ku mulimu ng'alina ennyumba gy'asula, so teyeetaagangako kuzimba. And I've told you my background. For example, Zenga Arthur, there are people like me that really need to build a home. Not even just for pride, but you need a home to have a place where your kids call home. Okitegeera. apartment say you it's okay, but your kids will never call it a home. It's not really a home for them. In the synergy and like my dad had lots of kids, but I don't think there is a property of his that is still remaining. His heir sold the one house that was there, and recently I think my siblings from my dad, they sold, I think, the last piece of land that was remaining, and they kept a bit of money on the account, and each of the siblings received 90,000 shillings. I also received my 90k. So the last piece of land that I think my dad left was sold. So where do his kids go? Wanji banji nebaragawa. So they have to go to one of their uncles' homes to go there. Now it's not like the kids cannot sell their home, but I know a lot of people whose parents passed and they still have their parents' home intact for them to meet there. And my big step brother calls me and they say, like, we don't talk in a long time. I think we just don't have the connection. I don't think it will come at my age. It's very hard. So when he calls me, nangamba ka message okalabye ntaddeko nina kataka ke nagamba ke twaji da, and then I'm in a WhatsApp group, and then I saw so many people received money, and I even have step brothers I didn't know about. Yes. So anyway, pride and legacy for your kids. Nze sina jendaga, like my father's side teyaleka byaleka bonna babitunda. My mother's side is not really my side. So I was there. So I needed to put a place that I would say this is my home. One way wangi. If everything fails, this is where I go. I think every man needs that place where they go. And that's why it's practical for every man to build a home. And then you sort yourself. I have a friend of mine that normally tells me, Arthur, oyina kuzimbako mu kyaleyo nga mu kibirabira nga omukazi bwakunyiiza omuviira n'ogendako eyo n'otuuleyo nga naye ng'amanyi nti gye wali nga tamanyi nti gy'olaze. Okitegeera? Me, I don't believe in that because I think depression is a very bad thing. You can go there and get depressed. I'm also not a farmer. I don't think I'm going to farm. So what would I be doing? They are sitting in the forest. Okitegeera? So I think bonds are meant for long-term investments, 5 years and above, and they really have good returns. Yes, but they have good returns on good investment. Like returns on 100,000 shillings for 5 years. That's not very good returns. That's not. So anyway, and then of course for some of us, one of the things that forced me to build was that my friend told me, Arthur, nze natandika okuzimba ne million nya. Then ngenda okutuulamu nga landlord mu emitwalo 25 buli mwezi. Emitwalo 25 in 10 months ze million 2 n'ekitundu. Kyekyo kyembala? Ze million 2 n'ekitundu. No. Emitwalo 25 je emitwalo 5 every 2 months. Guys, wait. Math disturbs me. My son Urban has better math than me. So you have 250 times 12 months. That's 3 million. Ngenda okubalabalamu nga landlord wange 1 million 3 buli mwaka. Ngono gaya ngamba yatandika okuzimba ne million 4. Ate akaseera ko landlord yali amanja noze emyezi nga 5. Nengamba million zine 3 zempalandi road. Olya ngambye nsobola bwe nkwata million zange 4. Sizimba nenyingire wange nali sinnawasa. Kinasooka nensoka nkwata 4 nengulayo ka plot e Kasangati. Nensoka ngulayo ka plot e Kasangati. Nenkalambulanga, I think I would go there every weekend just to see if my plot is still there. And then I went there for like 3 months. In the 4th month, nemfuna one of my mentors na po muzimbiwe. Ntubala mzimbi na muwe mitwalo bajali 5. 3 rooms. We built 2. I entered. I'm that determined. So when I see people saying, ntisola teka sente mu nyumba, nze nayingira nyumba nga nzimbye ne million nya. Nenji yingira. It's still even possible even today. Kati kwali madirisa kwali ko rujiru mwanda I entered. The rest is history. Just like that million esatu zinawanga landlord buli mwaka. Nzinga bwenzi balabalamu bwenti. Kati ate when there is a point where I reached, nge nyumba yagayo jinatanga million enya. The third room na yonga njizimbi njimazi. Then there is a point I reached ngane plaster away the next ceiling mweri. Then there is a point I reached when the tiles were done. Then there is a point where I reached ngane fuka fence kawe the negate kweri nganyina matala gebweru. Then there is a point where I reached enyumba jenyino okupangisa. For me to get to rent a house like the one I was living in, I needed about 500,000. Kasi for me, there was no turning back. Siso wala kupangisa. For me to rent the house that I live in right now, I need 3 million per month. You get? Like who rents for 3 million? Okuja konga, you don't pay the rent, the company that you work for pays the rent. So the cost of rent for me is one thing that forced me to build. I realized I was giving the landlord a lot of money, 3 million a year. When my friend told me for 4 million I could build and enter the house. Which is a gay, Samuruma, landlord is Samuruma. A Chris Fitness, the landlord Namala, Namugamba. Napasamganti Nazimbi. I not tell him I built. Landlord Namugamba, one Wagani, Kanjiranzira Wajaja. Which is a gay, right? So he said, go no, Sasura. So I paid him. Nekakati nchasi jukela za maja. Nego choba manya, I'm a very honest person. I pay my debts. Ninga Lannister, I'm a Lannister. So every now and then we funa yaka sente ngamutira kaka sente. Si jukela, neche manyita jukela za maja. Chavata manja. Osegeda, na ya abali ya ngamutira message. I still pay him. So for me, one of the reasons I built was because I realized the house I was renting at 250 wasn't really good, but I was renting it. And then just like that, katisija sobra kupangisa. Kubanga bwembara abala munzo kupangisa kungeri jembara mu sente zo kupangisa nyizo pangisa nyumba ya mitwala abiri. Okisegera. Nyumba ya mitwala abiri eyo. Sijisobola. Sijisobola neighbor parking game abega wangambuloki kati nga nyina gena nkonkone mga neighbor one of the reasons I sold my house in Kasangati was because of the neighborhood. One of the neighbors, I was one of the people that was first in that car estate. Then the first neighbor came, built a toilet that looked first directly to my gate. Then another neighbor below me still built a toilet. I called the chairperson nangamba webereremu. So I said kateno neighborhood sichaji sobola. The reason I went as far as I went was because I'm one person that likes to live in a neighborhood where people are well off, where people Uganda So anyway, you guys understand social status. The social status in Gide Center Kasanga tinabera yonga wamberera walungi nene ntuka katinga class y'abantu ababeerawo. Ngibintu bibayombi byangu. One time you guys, there are stories. One time one of my neighbors, who is actually a witch, because she has like a shrine in her home. It's also another reason why I shifted. So one time one neighbor who is a witch at midnight, it's good to have cameras at home. Now I have cameras at my home. But one of my neighbors who is a witch now, at that time we did not know. She knocked on my gate. She knocked on my gate and came. So there were two neighbors that were rivaling each other, and I was not on anyone's side. So I think she wanted to solicit support. So she comes to my gate. By morning, the eggs were not there, obviously. So she put eggs, and then she knocked on my gate. And she said, I don't think she knows that I figured it out. She said that the other neighbor below is bewitching me. That neighbor put eggs. They came with the Bible. They were pretending to pray. At that time, nobody knew she was going to actually create a shrine. Said, hey, you see the reason why I sold my house? And I saw the first person that gave me an offer. I got the money. I even shifted before the time they gave me to get out of the house came. I went. So era Ramadan nalinga waseninde kukolya seninde lyennyini egwe me I lived in town nze nalinga ngewaka ngamvuga kilomita ntono nnyo so nze okugenda ewala mwe mmanye nti buno plot bw'okumpi obwo bwakanyigonze sibusobolirako ddala abantu ababubeeramu era nze embasaasiri so anyway ngagamba tulina okwerwanako I closed I went and slept. So the next morning, the eggs were not there. I mean, the one that opened to see if the eggs were there, to see if actually there was actual witchcraft going on. There was no witchcraft. So I decided to shift. Nze sibera mbintu ebyo. Musimanya ate mpala ndili akoli neighbor ate. Nze bwemba nkuwala na byange. Bwemba sikwagala. Sikwagala byange bye sikwagala bina kuba byange. So anyway, we are talking about a home. Then also the home gives you freedom. Like especially in Uganda, homeowners have a lot of freedom. Like where I live, we have not yet started paying ground rent. I hear it's somewhere in Muyenga, Musasura tax. I can enter my home at whatever time I want. Right? I think in Uganda, things are even better. Me, I don't pay national water. I don't. Manchi mazi, as long as I pay umeme. So you have freedom when you build your home. Now, all those are advantages of having a home, but it has also drawbacks. One, it ties up capital. Now, me, I don't believe in it ties up capital. Sente zidi mu nyumba yange sizikwatanga koza awamu katenda sizitoina muntu wange na ngamba sente zikute capital for what? Ziwe na hani kilo zime nyumba yange yekasanga for example sente ze million ennya nze mbagambe nze bintu byensobola nsobola nti omuntu nenkolayo ka drama nenka investinga million yange emu nenkatambuza mu ministry oba nenkatambuza mu organization nembaga nkozeyo ka drama ke HIV kakano tubade twagala mutuwe yaka sente katambuze mu masomero okitegere nemanya nti nkataddemu million bagenda kumpe million nnya nkatambuze mu masomero ku million ennya nsasuleka abantu bange mpiseka nze byensobola ebyobusubuzi sibisobola kati nze okunga nti nkwate million nnya nziteekewa. So there are people like me, and it's a completely normal life. Me, I've worked with Europeans. I've worked with a very popular music composer, Amita Rolf Wallin. He's one of the biggest in Norway and Europe. I worked with the theater director, Amita Jos the Pau. He's the one that directed me when I ring in the way. Chakora, ebidatabi sobola. There are people like me, ngebe byamwe byokusubula simaya kati. Nze nageza ko subule moroka. Natanga busi sente. Sibi sobola. So I lose money in the arts, but I also make money out of the arts. So there, it ties up capital according to some people. Nze nyumba yange njizimba mpola. Magoba ge tuzimba ko. Osigera, tuzimba ku magoba te tuzimba ku capital. Zo officer zo zimba mu ekye kintu abantu banna kitegeera. Uganda bosala okuzimba mu capital gwatomera. Otegeera. Era magoba we gabate gali wobera mu kifulu kwacho. That's why I was telling you guys. Fe twali twakagenda je tubeera. But neighbor abamu gate batubuza kuba twali tulinga ababeera mu kifulu kwa. Naye ng'emmoloka yange weeriwa, I think some people would be asking naye katono guy basula bubi lwaki bayina emmotoka. Okitegeera. Our car was there. Ng'era twevuga buli lunaku ne tudda mu kifulu kwa kyaffe, but now tetutabeera mu kifulu kwa. Naye ffe tetuzimba ku capital, tuzimba ku magoba. Okitegedde? Sente zaali badde ez'amagoba gwe zozimbamu. Ekirala slow return. Me, I don't think it's a slow return. There is kind of peace that you get in sleeping in your own house. Me, I was raised by partly my auntie, who also passed on when I was in P6. And we lived in a 2-bedroom house that she rented. Nga mu kisenge, ekitanda kye n'omwami kiri wali, ng'adafa abaana ekyaffe kiri wano. My kids have not experienced that, thanks to God. Abaana abange tebakiyiseemu ekyo. Nti basula mu nnyumba oba basule mu ddiiro. Okitegeera balina ekitanda ekyabwe. Okitegeera balina ekisenge ekyabwe. They talk with pride. Of course, there are 2 boys. They are sharing a bedroom, and each one of them kind of wants to have their own bedroom. I'm not going to do that. They share a bedroom. But buli omu akimanya asula yekka mu kitanda. When I was growing up, ngasule wa jjajja, we had our own bedroom. It was 1 bed. Ng'omu atunula eri omulala n'atunula. Nomubijjukira ebyo. Okitegeera mubijjukira. Omwa ebigere bitunula mu mutwe gw'oli. Kanza abaana abange ekyo tebakifunye. Okitegeera, there is that kind of thing that nze return y'ennyumba eyange sijibala nti empa sente mmeka. Njibala nti abaana bange baali badde basula batya. nali badde sula mu kisenge kye kimu n'abaana bange nti abagenyi wange bwe baali kyadde nga mbasuza mu ddiiro nga tubabuuka ku makya okitegeera. That doesn't work like that. So nze return y'ennyumba, I don't know how people calculate returns, but I know that that house is going to be mine. Otegeera paka bwe naagala okugitunda. Otegeera nze kasanga tewansala natunda mangu abantu bagamba natunda layisi na yenze neighborhood erina lisigisobola. And then of course the other drawback with a home is the maintenance costs. The maintenance cost chi, you guys, people keep saying a house has maintenance costs. Eziriwa the septic tank najizimba mu 2021 septic tank siji maintaining weri. Again, I don't maintain the septic tank. And I think our government will maintain pipe work. I don't maintain the pipe work of the house. Nzo kuja kungasaze ku modifying chintu nenga kino tukikyuse mtu ki like this okuja ke nyumba za box feza tutonyako for some time, but that was because of stupid builders. It wasn't because of the homies over what nze sida what people see as maintenance cost. Nze najijja okusaawa obudde wange enkokoto teri bya kusaawa mudde wange enkokoto era omuddo gwensaawa gweweweruwe ekikomera kyange nti why kubola ati ndabike bubi emisota jijja veging ekikomera kyange nze wange teri muddo so teri kusaawa. That would be the maintenance cost joina. Amasanyalaze n'omupangisa agasasula, amazi n'omupangisa agasasula, okwera olujja n'omupangisa ayiro kujjako aba apartment naye aba apartment basasula sente z'okwera olujja. See, so their maintenance cost for some people nze sina maintenance cost je ndaba je tali walala. And then of course enyumba eri liquid to enyumba tebagitunda tebabala gatunda era kyobulanze kasanga toli kasabajja ne banga tukuwa zino mumpe nenziruka. And then the biggest drawback, the biggest disadvantage with owning a home is that you're not mobile. Tosobola kumala gatambula. Osegeera kati nze omuntu yenna okumpa omulimu nga guntwala wala newembeera olina okumpa sente nga nnyingi ate nnyo enyumba etuwa pride baganda bange kati ogenda kumpa ki? Ogenda kumpa sente mmeka gwe? Kuba nze sina pressure ya rent. Enyumba ye ina advantage njerere kufa abazizimbye obviously kuba tannazizimba kakanda ajja kujja kugambe tozimba kakiika kugambe tozimba yani ono butera bakugambe tozimba gwatannazimba it's okay. Na yenze enyumba jiraba mu advantage njerere. Ose nze abaana abango baraba nabawa freedom. Enyumba ebweru bagiwandikako n'amanda it's okay, it's okay. Fe twakulanga tesola wandika ku nyumba ya muntu kuba yali ya taata waffe. Abaana abango omupiira basobola ogusambira mu nyumba ya no problem. Mukube mu corridor tujja kuddamu tusiige. Kati ongamba ki? Okay, me I don't have ezo na disadvantages because in theory jeziri. You guys, for the people that have built homes here, what disadvantage do you have with your home apart from being in a bad neighborhood? What disadvantage do you have in your home? Wanji with the homes, guys, ngenda concluding building a house or a home. With houses, homes, the only people that see disadvantages of homes are people that have never built homes. or people that built homes and lost income. And then they started looking at their homes as Kati. One thing I want to tell you guys, if you have built your home, build a home and then focus on making sure you have money all the time. Have money for food, have money for fuel, have money for school fees and all that. And then don't have kids you cannot manage. The people that have homes don't see any disadvantage with the homes. It's the people that have not built homes that see disadvantages with the homes. Of course, and they are motivational speakers. Nzimba tugende ku business kubana yonji kozi. Me have that gwecho manya buli kodrango jendi katono. Let's look at business. When you invest money in business, you can multiply your wealth. Which take it, right? You have cash flow. For example, of course, my business is not a cash flow business. The young jendi cash flow tabira obuli kiseera. You can work in one season, then the next season you don't work. And for artist, I think fetu inokusingo kuyiga financial discipline. Nitosobola okukola January, Feb, March. Normally, the rest of the young toina date, toina would just sente. So kat fetu inokuba ne financial discipline. And that's why we diversify in other things. We get other skills as well. So when we talk about business, there is also flexibility with business. Into business also moving and OGG company you remember during COVID, people shifted their businesses from the Kampala Central Business District. They took their businesses, Bombo Road, Gaza Road, they put the businesses everywhere. And then of course you are liquid at all times. We want a business, especially service business people, but they are very, very liquid. Why are guide centers ifuna? And then of course you can diversify. You have your 50 million, you can diversify. But you can, if you have 10 million in a business, you can pull out money slowly and put it in other businesses. Now the disadvantages, there is uncertainty. Zimbabwe, in the past 2 years, I think I've lost over 30 million in those. If you can if you can sharing, you never be entered them sent in the zifa. Hey, the zifa. Neka staff ganezire wange. Echa neziramu nenjiya okitegere neziramu nenjiya. And then of course baba akola business not azimba, you have the pressure of the pressure of rent. I have a friend of mine yazimba rentals katsente ziva mu rentals, okay, zizasasula mu rent. That's also something. And then of course there's cultural pressure. Kati nze wano nyina abantu mentadde ka pressure bwe njogera ku nyumba lwa bagenda tandika okuzimba ataki yagambye ase ebintu abyeyagalira mbwe yagalizi okitegeera. But there's cultural pressure ey'okuzimba otandika okujja sene mu business osimbemu. One thing I can advise guys that have not yet built, tozimba mu capital, zimba mu magoba. Kitegeeza bw'oba okola business ate nga tereeta magoba, zimba ennyumba capital muyiiye. I am telling you, there are people like that nga business agiremeddemu tekola nayo abantu bananda babatyanga nzimbi ennyumba nga sina capital. You get. And then of course with business you need a lot of financial discipline. Obutalya capital, obutayonona magoba gokoze. And then let's just balance it with it's 1 hour. Building a home is security, stability. Investing is growth and wealth creation. There's one thing that probably we have not yet accepted. Not everyone is going to be rich. Not everyone is going to be rich. Some people will be richer than others. And in a society like Uganda, where some people are not rich because they know how to work, but because they're in positions where they can steal, we all know someone like that. We also know people that get money because they are working. We also know people that get money because they are doing dubious activities. Dubious activity, you're not in a position to steal. I want you to understand that there are things in Gomu Sajja as a man you have to do. After 40, okuzimba kukaburuba nchibagamba basajja bannange, after 40 okuzimba kukaruba okujja kwatengo okola nnyo. I know people that make a lot of money. Walo guy one abuze nnyo bamuyita Vian is over 40. Naye yagamba yazimbako rentals nazituna nateka mu business. Yagamba akola in electronics, ina electronics shops. Yena agamba agenda kupangisa paka because talaba makuru gali mu kuzimba nyumba. Kubanga bwapangisa, he can rent anywhere. Okitegeera. But then when I got close to him nangamba atapangisa na mugongo. Nze sinza kubanga mpangisa naye pangise na mugongo. Ze bwemba mpangisa. Mbanjagala kupangisa nga Kampala Road yawo. The center of everything. Oba Kololo. Kati bwemba sola kupangisa Kololo. Kambeere mu kyalo. Anyway, the smartest path is often to blend. Kola byonna nga bwengezaako nze byonna mbikola. Teka waka yombako ne kabeerawo. Nobanga tebagenda kusumbuwa. Sebe yawe wange ne police wejjesooka konkona. Ne teri mulala amalaga nkonkona atyo. Omuntu omulala yenna bwakonkona ewange bwe sigula waavaawo. Police yokka yesobola okumenya n'amagye. Atago gamenya buli wamu. Okitegeera. So balance. But then I also find that whatever you do a business or invest money, it's your priorities. In the Nabagambi, why I built one, a friend of mine told me I could build with 4 million, and I was giving a landlord 3 million every year. So I used 4 million in the next couple of months to build a home. Okay, it wasn't really a home. But I entered. That's how determined I am. No, so that's how I am. And I also needed a place for me. Now some of you guys have homes, but boys quarters you can go back home. Me, I have nowhere to go. So I have to have a home. And some of you guys, I know a number of people. Now there are people like that. You never need to build in your life. And then there are people that inherited stuff. You probably don't need to build. Your priority should not be the building. But then there are people nga toyina wodda oli mulekwa wakulira ku street zimba muzei zimba kuba toyina wodda ate otandise okuzaala abaana obenjeza mizigo nga toyina okitegeera. So it's priorities kati ze priorities zange zanjawulo ku muntu omulala. But also it also depends on the amount of money you have. JK told us he invests about 50 million every year in government bonds. Do you have 50 million every year to invest? Obogenda genda ngo tandika ku investing mitwala abiri otandike kwesomera ku bantu ati nawe oli investor. Nye bondi zange zinakuziza mitwala na buli mwaka ngulayo zana. It's okay to buy mitwala ana, but okujja nga toyina kyoyinza kwata mitwala nago gakolamu. I know a friend of mine wawanira ku YouTube ye yangamba yaka investinga mu unit trust million ana nangamba naye Arthur, the reason why I invested in unit trust nzo obwongo bwange sina kye mmanyi kye nyinza kukola million ana naye math tamutegeera kuba yangamba mu million zaana yangamba to million zaana. Let me do the math just to be sure, because I did the math afterwards. I need to talk to him tulawo babyabala byembala yangamba. Let me just do 10. Yangamba nti milioni ze ana zimwe mitwala 5 buli mwezi alimba, because at 10% at 10% 40 million will be giving you probably 4 million okitegeera per annum. Okujanga bali bakuwa 10% per month okitegeera eyo unit trust ekuwa 10% per month nange njagala situnde nyumba nange nenfune millions zange 10 nenziteekayo nemanya nti bampe millions zange 10 buli mwezi okitegeera. That would be, so I know that most people pay 10% per annum. Kitegeeza baba 10% per annum abatafuna mitwala 5 buli mwezi. But of course everyone has the way they do their math. But ye yangamba honestly nangamba Arthur nze sina kye mmanyi kye nyinza kukola mu million ezaana naziteekayo bwenzaagala nsobola okuzijjayo oba nenzijjayo ko ezimu neje eziri. There are also people like that. Naye ate oyo ye yazimba dde amaka galina okitegeera ne business zendala zitambula tabulamu mitwala 2 wiiki kati tali ubi ate tayina baana tayina mukazi. Kati oyo omuntu yonna gyali mu business gyali ayina amaka ayina ne money markets. So the goal is to diversify. Yonna teeka yokko naye teeka wosinga okufunira first. Kati nze siri musuubuzi ebyokusuubula sibisobola. Omuntu asuubula akasawo k'omuceere for example bana batunda retail n'akatundirako emyezi 4. Guys, Kambasibule, thank you very much for taking the time to be with me in today's live broadcast. Saturday Convos. Tumari tuludeo kuberako ne conversation eri serious wait. Na ye tumaze okukitegeera. Okitegeera money dies but the home enable kujanja basikategedde Ramadan. Guys, for the people that have been on the broadcast, you guys now already know that there is no person that has a home that sees disadvantage with it. Teri disadvantage nemwe eri kubera namakago. Teri yo. Motivational speakers will make you believe there are so many disadvantages with building a home. And also guys need to understand tozimba na capital. Zimba na magoba. Cheche bagamba nti nyumba bwogireta ko ekifuba. Ofa. Zimba na chi Guys, don't be scared to move into an incomplete house. Of course, I know some of you guys have a lot of money. You're not like me. But me, I enter incomplete houses. Usegira. Ngomuntu yanchaira last year bwajja this year. Atukawo nga tagitegera nga takkiriza anti yeri. And I know abai. Bwogamba let me first invest in business. Guys, come massively. Thank you very much for choosing to spend this 1 hour with me. I don't take you for granted. I'd like to remind you, I do pre-purchase inspection. In case you're going to buy a car, I come as a guardian angel. I come with a mechanic, and together we help you make a good choice for the car to buy. I charge a small. It covers transport for me, the mechanic, and you and another person. Only one extra person to go and look at cars. It doesn't checking out the paperwork. So far I can record, I can claim that we have had a lot of success. For example, I shared the story of a lady Oavits, from the reports I get until we are surrounded by Moroka and Kanjebede nayo, Jekanikide and Jitegede, Imoroka Katiamu Mirembe, and we have had a number of issues like that. But a big guanga. We cannot have a perfect trade, but it works out. So guys, the inspections is one way that I keep this channel running. So whenever you're going to buy a car, so the My Car Diaries is we're also going to be doing an awareness campaign, traffic and road safety awareness campaign. Stop, look, leave. Trying to educate the public on road signs and traffic lights by getting the to stay alive on the road. Yeah, basobola okuvuga obulungi okutambula obulungi n'abapichi tugenda in schools, primary and secondary, and also tertiary institutes. We're also be going to bus, taxi parks, border stages, and also reaching out to pedestrians and normal drivers like yourself. And we'll be soliciting for support from you guys, donations. Okola campaign here very soon. But thank you for today for being with me. I'll see you tomorrow in the evening. Kasule Ramadan, Basic Chris, Lucky Mose, Musalwa Derek, Abali Mukamori, I don't take it for granted. Kim Job Musime, nafe wano enkube etonye mu kibuga, Panga Godfrey, Bugishu Times, Israel Mumpe, Rubera Chris Fitness. Chris Fitness, Isente Omugaga Namusasura, George Bob, Tobias Odiambo, and Starch Events. The plot I bought 2022 at 4 million. Now it's 15 million in Karaji. Ate situunda. Ida totunda. Totunda. Na yo orion plot the million asa to Karaji. Wenze Karaji sobra gura yo maka. Karaji wala. For the guys that don't know, Karaji wala. Karaji wala. Temula banti imbera wala. Mujita game park Karaji wala. But hey guys, I wish you a very lovely evening. Don't drink and drive. Keep safe. Drive safely. And may the good Lord bless you. Hey, Abali Mukamori, thank you very much. Now again, we'll have a video later on. I hope you guys have seen the weekly roundup. Ciao, ciao.